This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson.
And hello, this is your host, Harry Wilkinson, and welcome to the Spirit and Wellness Show. This is the show where we talk about days and weeks events, happenings in the world, happenings in politics, international news, technology, science, all of it, and we take a look at it from a higher perspective. And from a higher perspective, I'm talking about some might call it a spiritual perspective, a metaphysical perspective. It's a perspective from which we look at what's going on around us as reflections of ourselves, who and what we are. That we are literally creating the events that we're looking at. And the events that we are looking at are, for all intents and purposes, at the highest level of our being, not real. They are creations. And as we create them and engage in them, we experience things. And we experience these things, whether they be feelings or ideas or sense of emotions and things of that nature. We experience these things and we learn from them. And so rather than be feeling as if these things are happening to you, you begin to understand that they're not happening to you. They are being created by you. And that you can actually take the energy from these situations through meditation, which I've explained quite a bit on this show, and perhaps we'll get into it again today, but through a process of meditation. Going into situations, particularly situations which you find either confusing or perhaps a little frightening or just frustrating, going into them and feeling that and then understanding that it is, for all intents and purposes, as I said, not real, a creation, and you can take your energy from it. And going through this process, it does quite a number of things, but first of all, it makes you feel more empowered. And it actually does work in changing situations that might need to be changed, and giving you a feeling of empowerment over it. The caveat is that you don't go into these experiences with the idea that you want to change them. You go into these experiences, embracing them, accepting them for what they are and what they have to tell you and show you, and as creations that you made. Wonderful creations. Although you may be a little bit baffled by them because you're not sure why you created them. But you accept them, and by that very act of acceptance alone helps to reconnect you, and actually helps you to be able to create more and better and with more consciousness. And I guess rise above, though I don't really like that term because you're not rising above something, but you know what I mean. Taking that step back, I think, and being able to look at things, and I don't even want to say objectively or disconnected, because you're not any of those things either. It's just the best phrase that I can think of is the one that I use every week: a higher perspective. So anyway, that's what this show is all about, and has been all about for the years that I've been doing it. And I've actually lost track of how many years I've been doing it. But it's something I do, and I started doing for myself, to remind myself of these things and to keep myself focused on taking the higher perspective, particularly when it comes to news and information. We live in a time, unprecedented time, where information bombards us, not just every day, but every minute, seemingly. I mean, if you have a smartphone, if you're on Facebook, if you are on Twitter, any of those things, you are constantly being inundated with information. And, I've noticed that many people, particularly folks who didn't grow up with these kinds of technological communication devices, have a difficult time. They struggle, trying to make sense of it all, trying to stay centered and focused. You hear a lot these days about people wanting to just unplug. And I certainly think it's a necessary kind of thing. But what's curious to me is that, people make a big deal about, okay, I'm going to just take a week or two and just unplug completely. And, that's good, but, it doesn't last. And you come back and you're as connected as you were before. All these things don't have to overwhelm if you do them in moderation. It's when you feel like you've lost control, like your cell phone is running your life rather than you running it. That's when you may need to readjust your schedule. I know for me, I enjoy all of these technologies, but I don't always do them. I'm not on Facebook every day, although I enjoy the times when I'm on it. I set periods of time for myself when I will do certain things, when I will answer emails, when I will, go on the cell phone. And but there are other times when the cell phone is turned off. I'm not at the computer. I'm not at my laptop. I'm not looking at Facebook or any of those things. So it really is all about balance. And I think it is also about taking the step back and being able to look at things from a different point of view. That really helps you to feel a lot less stressed, I think. So today's topic, we're going to be talking, and this is a topic that has been a frequent one on this show. We are, going to talk about spirituality and religion and science, and how particularly spirituality and science, after a long time of being enemies, are starting to maybe appreciate each other more. And I think it's because the old idea of religious thought is changing. And the rigid ideas of what a spiritual person has to do or believe in are changing as well. So I want to talk about that. I've often said, first of all, that this is not a religious program, because it's not. I talk about religion on the show, but I don't talk from any particular religious perspective. I talk about Christianity as much as I will talk about Buddhism and Taoism and anything else, because these are reflections of our own sense of spirituality. And I've often said that spirituality and religion are not only not the same thing, but quite often they work in cross purposes. Religion is an organized system of beliefs. It's an institution. Now, whether that institution is Christianity or Judaism or one of the more newer or evangelical belief systems, it's still a set of belief systems. It's still an institution that seeks over all things to maintain itself, because that's what institutions have to do. And that requires everybody to follow the rules. And the rules are what we sometimes call dogma. These are the tenets of a religious institution. This is what you absolutely have to believe in order to continue to be a believer in your church or your religious institution. So that necessarily requires exclusionary thought. In other words, if you're a Christian and you believe that your way, the Christian way, is the only way, really, and everybody else is wrong, well, that's exclusionary. So religion seeks to then raise up certain people who believe certain things and, lower the status of others who don't. And all of those sorts of things that religion is about have nothing to do with spirituality. Because spirituality is everybody's. Spirituality is, I believe, a part of the human experience. It's like one of our senses, the sense of sight, smell, touch, hearing. It is part of every human being. Now, how you use it, the degree to which you use it, and even how well developed or underdeveloped it is, varies from person to person. But scientific fact has shown us that there actually is in our DNA a gene. It's called the VMAT2 gene, VMAT2 gene, that specifically is designed to help us feel transcendent, that is directly connected to mystical experiences, prayer, our sense of being connected or being part of something much larger. And there's been a lot of work in neuroscience looking at the brain and how the brain reacts to and interacts with things like meditation, things like mystical experiences, things like a sense of enlightenment, sudden enlightenment, or an altered state of consciousness. It's a field of study that is